I have one other one I want to read out. My old company did this and ended up doing layoffs after, not to scare you.
Exactly what I was about to say. Took the words out of my mouth.
All right, you guys want to fire this up? Little three-way action?
Yes, although I didn't see this until just now what the topic is. I just started skimming.
That's all right. Let's surprise everybody. Yeah. What's up, lifers? And welcome to the Daily Stand-Up with Lifetime Value. I got my man JP here. JP, do you want to say hi?
What's up, bleepers?
I got my man Rob here. Rob, do you want to say hi?
What's going on, lifers?
Too close.
And I am the chicken parm of customer success. My name is Dillon Young. This is a more intimate three-way conversation between the three of us. We're going to pull up one conversation that's happening out there on the internet, not necessarily from a guest. So this is one I found on the customer success subreddit on Reddit, and it's by a user named You Look Marvelous. And I'll put this in the show notes so it's easier for people to understand. But it says, shifting ownership of upsells and cross-sells from CSM to AE. Recently joined a public SaaS company as an enterprise CSM with a newer upmarket motion. His or her experience had previously been CSMs owned it all. Upsells, cross-sells, and renewals, and played an integral part in GTM. That's changing at this larger organization. AEs handle it. What do you guys think? Have you experienced this, or do you work in this structure currently? Rob, I know your opinion on this, so I'm going to start with JP. Do you think that this structure works? And just give me your overall thoughts.
I mean, the structure works until it doesn't. Who's working there? Some people don't like it, and some people are cool with it. I remember one of the first jobs I had, I was told about how certain sales reps may be, quote unquote, more territorial over things. I think that also speaks to, I'm a big fan of thinking about a company culture in terms of what they allow and how they align. That sounded pretty good. But I think that where I am right now, pretty much I'm not on any call solo. I'm always on the call with an account executive. And they're incentivized to join those calls because they really do own a lot of that upsell and cross-sell that comes there. And I think that they also have a certain intimate knowledge, since it's such an intimate podcast, they have a very intimate knowledge of our products and can speak to them in a way that I think is very important that we are not necessarily required to have. I think we're required to have enough depth to really understand how to talk to our customer and understand where the use cases lie. I think that our AEs are able to sort of take things a little bit deeper and also know where the pricing lies. We're not going to really have that swab, that smoothness on the call as far as the pricing. We're like, oh yeah, we're going to help you out. But the AEs are going to know what the pricing is. And I tell you what, today, I saw a master at work. Somebody said something and they were talking about some numbers about potential things they needed. And the gist of this was that it sounded like this was going to be a huge price hike. Of course, you don't want to talk about a huge price hike initially on a call with the customer. You need to really reel back and say, okay, like we need to get higher ups involved. So she did a masterful job of doing that in a way that I'm not sure a CSM in a vacuum naturally would. And so I think for the company, for the business, that really makes a lot of sense due to our product. If you go to someplace else, it may not make much sense.
Really quick, how big is your company? Just for context.
I think we got about over 300 people.
Okay. So before I come to you, Rob, I want to read some of the comments that came off of this. One is Kirby Ybrick, and they wrote a bunch of stuff, but eventually said, I will say, as someone who was on the job hunt for the last 8 months and interviewed a bunch, 99%, which doesn't sound like a real number, of the companies I spoke to expect a CSM to have experience with all commercial terms and stats data to back that up. I turned down an offer at an org where CSMs didn't manage any commercial terms, since it seemed like I'd really be limiting myself for future opportunities. So that's interesting.
Limiting yourself. That's why you just got a job in 8 months.
Kirby Wybrick. I have one other one I want to read out. Natural-proposal-257. Hit us with this one. My old company did this and ended up doing layoffs after, not to scare you. So for what it's worth, I got one upvote. I think that came from Natural Proposal 257 themselves, but important to call it out that, I mean, that can sometimes be the direction it goes in. So Rob, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Took the words out of my mouth, honestly. And I hate to say this. I really do.
That you? Is that your Reddit handle? Natural Proposal 257?
You don't look like a Natural Proposal.
Liking my own post. Obviously, much to say here. I mean, I think it brings up a really good point, right? One of the trends of conversation that we've been having in customer success over the last year is this identity crisis that kind of just boils down to this one core question of how do we prove the worth of the folks on the ground who are trying to not just create value for the customers, but when you really think about it, when it comes down to brass tacks, every role at a company has to pay for itself. That is the fundamental capitalistic principle that we live in. And maybe that's not the case in other worlds and other environments and other companies and other cultures and whatever. But for us, it is. And so I think the reason there are CSMs that I've met who shy away from this responsibility. And I understand in this case of this poster, like this was a company decision. But you have to unpack, why did this company have this feeling of we can't put this responsibility on our CS team? I hate to say it, but I don't think it was because the company said, well, because we really, really need to make sure that our customers are getting value. The reason was probably that, well, frankly, we need the people who know how to sell to sell.
Doing it. Yep. It is not the virtue of the separation of church and state that you hear a lot of people talk about. It's typically they just don't think you can get it done.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if you look at the data sets they have available to them, you understand why. They've got mountains of data on how their salespeople perform and who would do well and who would do poorly in those environments. And interestingly, JP, you mentioned something. I agreed with most of what you said. There's one part of what I said that I was like, I want to think back on that a little bit more, which was,
oh yeah.
So you said that we should be figuring out the business needs rather than closing revenue. I actually think that those two things go hand in hand. I think the best salespeople I've ever worked with are the ones who figure out the business needs. And the ones who don't figure out the business needs end up chasing the non-ICP customers who don't close anyway. So
did I say that?
They still close deals. They're just so less efficient.
Yeah.
Like they could be doing so much better. The caveat I'll put in here, Rob, I want you to finish your thought though, is like that if it's working at JP's company, then that's cool. There are instances where they've built it and they happen to find talent that really work well together. And to JP's point, there isn't really a handoff and no information is falling through the gaps because he's always got a partner on the call. That works, though, is maybe slightly less efficient cost-wise because you've got two bodies on a call at every moment. But keep going, Rob.
There's a lot I have to say, if you can't tell. But there's one irony I've been observing recently, which is really funny. I hear this executives say this. Chapter 1 is they say, well, we can't have CSM selling because we don't want to burn the trusted advisor relationship.
Yeah.
Then chapter 2, they turn to their sales teams and they say, we really want you guys to act as trusted advisors to the customer so you can close more deals. And I'm like, what? Like, resolve that for me. Right. So
and the trusted advisor piece, it goes both ways. Like, so when a CEO says that, I think what they're saying is, I want you to appear as a trusted advisor to your customer while squeezing every last damn dollar you can out of them. But it doesn't go the other way. If you, as an expert on your customers, go to your CEO and say, like, hey, now's not the right time, they typically will just tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
They'll say, no, go and get that money.
Right. It reminds me, I learned this lesson. I was 19 years old. I was waiting tables, the overnight shift at a diner in upstate New York. Terrible, best place to work. And I remember I was trying to explain the menu and like work this one table on like an upsell, getting them to get the perfect meal for them. Meanwhile, another table was holding their credit card up in the air because they were trying to pay. And my boss comes over to me, grabs me by the shirt. He's like, take the fucking money, Rob. And I was like, oh, that's my job here.
I've been toying with this. I guess it's a model, but I'm not really a consultant, so like it doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm not sitting in a customer success seat, so it's even less valuable. But this idea of how to prioritize your time as a customer success professional, and I've come to call it the UV method, which is simply urgency versus value. And value can mean a lot of things, but probably the value that is most important is dollars. I learned when my very short stint in the sales world was like, follow the money. Mm-hmm. How do you find the most money with the least friction? That's your job. That's your job. That could come from one huge deal. That could come from a ton of small deals. But you've got to follow the money. And the UV method is like, okay, well, if a customer's not burning down and there's no bugs that are keeping them from doing stuff, then go after the money. Spend your time looking for the money. Obviously, that's not always the case, as we found out here, and not for JP. But still, like you've got to help tee it up.
This is what I'll say. I think in the end, it's all about money. It's just a timetable, right? Customer success is born out of, we're in this new subscription model where we want to keep customers paying year after year, renewal after renewal, to get this more steady income instead of something upfront. It's always bringing the money now or later, but as quickly as you possibly can. That's the implication, right? The trusted advisor relationship isn't necessarily because you want to be buddy-buddy with these people or so that maybe they can poach you away from their company and get hired, as I've seen happen. I think that relationship is to identify those exposure points where you could potentially get more money out of them. And they don't want that to happen 6 years down the road if it can happen 3 years in the relationship. So I think that's always the thing. It's always happening on the scale of time. It's just that I think CSMs can, if we're really burning on all cylinders, it happens sooner rather than later, but still needs to happen.
That's our time, guys. Feels special to me. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
You've been listening to The Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Please note that the views expressed in these conversations are attributed only to those individuals on this recording and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of their respective employers. For all inquiries, please reach out via email to Dillon@lifetimevaluemedia.com. Find us on YouTube at Lifetime Value and find us on the socials at Lifetime Value Media. Until next time.
Hey folks, it's Dillon here. Thank you for tuning in as always. Now I've got a favor to ask of you. If you've made it this far, hopefully it means you like what we're doing with our program. So I'm asking you to please give this a like and a follow or a subscribe and leave a comment too. Your likes and your follows and your subscriptions, they allow us to keep doing what we're doing and reach a larger audience. Your comments help us make sure that we're making the best content for you. Best of all, it's free besides a few moments of your time. Thank you again for following along and we'll see you next time.